in Yemen. Well, our team in The Cube spoke to those working directly on the ground in Yemen to get a sense of how the world's worst humanitarian crisis is impacting children. Let's get more now from Alex.
Seldom would I ever start standing next to a blank screen, but this is just to warn you that some of the images I will be showing you are particularly distressing. And this is obviously, of course, to do with the suffering of children caught in this devastating war. You were hearing there about the details of the conflict. And today is International Children's Day. That is a time when the UN calls on the world to review the status of children and the challenges they are facing. And in Yemen, is particularly appropriate, given it was the face of a little girl that really brought home to the international community the scale of the suffering. That was 7-year-old Amal Hussein. She tragically lost her life after her family were unable to afford, first of all, to feed her, and then secondly, to take her to receive vital humanitarian assistance. She died in a camp a few miles away from the hospital where they had to clear her away because they needed space for other people. This has been a devastating, truly devastating war. And really, perhaps the shocking, the really upsetting thing is that Amal's face is just one of many children in this crisis. These images released by UNICEF, the UN Children's Agency, showing malnourished children, the challenges they are facing throughout the country. They are using this International Children's Day to call on people to recognise the extent of the suffering. Earlier I spoke to Maricela, who is their regional director in the country, and she told me about what she is seeing directly on the ground.
Well, what we see mostly is children malnourished. We have more than 400,000 cases of children suffering from severe acute malnutrition in the country. This figure is enormous. It's not comparable to what we have seen in other places. 56,000 children under 5 are dying every year of preventable causes.
This has been described as a man-made catastrophe, in that there are many supermarkets in Yemen full of food, but it is the economic crisis that is preventing ordinary people, like Amal's family at the very beginning, from accessing the help they need. And I spoke to the director of the World Food Programme run by the United Nations in Yemen, and he was responding to a donation, a proposed donation from the United Arab Emirates and, of course, Saudi Arabia, who are combatants in this conflict, for the promise of donating tens of millions of dollars. I asked him what his response was to that.
You know, more assistance is actually needed, and it needs to be sustained. And also, critically, the issue of peace and improving the economy and the ability, the purchasing power of the average Yemeni people.
Peace has come too late for 7-year-old Amal. Her story captured and told to the world by the New York Times. And it's just one of many children's stories that today on International Children's Day, aid agencies hope will fuel global efforts to secure peace in Yemen.